So I got it in 2007, and boy, was that an adventure, because at the time I didn't even know how to change the oil on a car. So I learned real quick how to do automotive work, and about 4 years after I bought the car, I was kind of like, I'm learning enough here. I want to do something a little bit more interesting. So I actually did a EFI conversion on the original Volvo motor. A couple of more years, and just found myself driving my Lotus or my Vet all the time. Like, I like the car, but 130 horsepower and just tons of annoying attention, and it's going to sit there a lot. But then the LS swaps started happening. The first one that I'm aware of was 2012. I want to say 2012 might be a different year. He did an LS1 in his. He got the attention of a friend of mine, Josh, who's in Canada, who's like, I want to LS swap mine too. And Josh is an engineer by trade, so it's not like the enormous undertaking it would be for your average folk. So he did it, but he did it with an LS4. There's a couple of good reasons for that. One is since it's from a front-wheel drive car, the front drive on the motor, all your accessories, is very, very flat. Mm-hmm. The LS1s, the LS6s, all that, the front drive's enormous. Like, you actually end up having to cut into the rear, like, closing panel to fit stuff in there. So I went with 5.3 liter V8. I went with a pretty medium-ish, probably toward the large side of camshaft. And when I picked out the intake for the carb, I picked out Edelbrock's, like high flow version, which actually people have done dyno tests on muscle cars between that and some of the other worth the money there. And then the headers just happened to be like, fairly equal length headers that just, managed to fit in there. With the exhaust, it's really a question of, can you get it to fit more so than anything? Keep in mind, it was built in a factory in Ireland during basically a civil war by people who had never built cars before. And they had Protestants and Catholics working together at the factory during the Irish Troubles. But there were actually two separate entrances for them and two separate break rooms, but they had to actually build the cars together. It was wild. There's a lot of fascinating history behind these cars. It's a very attention-getting car, obviously, and because of that, I'm not really the right owner because I'm, pretty introverted. You go to a gas station, it's near inevitable they're gonna have several people come up, crack a bunch of the Back to the Future jokes I've heard 8,000 times before, and everybody always thinks they're the first guy saying it. The upside really for me of owning these cars is just so damn unique. It's really cool. Just you sit in the car and you drive, you feel like you've I'm gonna hate myself here, like you've traveled in time to the 80s. Yeah, the clutch system is really interesting on this car. It's very mixed. It's a stock DeLorean clutch disc that's been Kevlar lined. The pressure plate is off of a Nissan 350Z drag racing setup, and the flywheel. That's why it's so hard. Yeah, and the flywheel is completely custom made from scratch.
Wow. Oh my god, cold AC. Oh, can we talk about this? It's an LS swap that has functioning ice-cold air conditioning.
Look, all the gauges work.
And all the gauges work. Yeah, because I think last year when I drove it, the tach didn't work, right?
No, it did. I'm sure something else, probably funky happened because DeLorean engine swapped, but...
I like that the door open sign is the goaling. It's so sick. And I love the seating position. You're almost wedged in. But all hype aside that it's a DeLorean, it feels like what I would expect an 80s car to feel like, right?
Just with modern power.
With power, right?
Copious amounts.
Without 80s emissions garbage, yeah. It's got so much torque that even if you don't gas it on acceleration, it takes itself away anyways. The throttle pedal is it's a lot of, I love it, but it's very stiff.
Whenever you give this juice, make sure you're pointed perfectly straight.
Okay.
Go for it.
That's fantastic.
It's comedy on wheels.
So if you're not pointed straight, does it kick the back end out or what?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's around a 30-70 weight distribution, so it's very, very tail happy.
You can leave it in fifth, and it has torque. That's so foreign to all Miata owners everywhere. I know you put a lot of time into the exhaust, and I've said it a lot, but the fact that there's a V8 2 feet behind my head, and you and I are just having a regular conversation, rebuild the exhaust for my K-swap for me. But yeah, swaps with like working dashboards and everything looking OEM from the outside are really the feat. Because like, it takes about like 3 wires to run an LS with, you know.
With a car?
Yeah. But like to get everything to communicate correctly and function, and like, you know, if you sat in this car and didn't look behind you, you would think it's just a regular DeLorean. When it is in fact not a regular DeLorean.
No.
It is a fixed DeLorean. Damn, dude. I also love it. Like, I don't know if I'd want a gated shifter all the time, but like, if it doesn't look cool, then I don't know what. Everything is like about the driver, right? Everything is right there. Whereas like nowadays, the passengers got their own little controls and stuff. Super driver centric. A surprising amount of headroom. Oh.
Yeah,
It's got a bump out. It's got the gurney bump inside.
That's... John DeLorean was something like 6'4".
Yeah. Yeah, if it didn't have that, I would have maybe half an inch of headroom. It's funny because like driving this in your Corvette back to back was like, you expect it out of a Corvette.
Yeah.
You do not expect it out of this. And like, I know nobody looking at the car from the outside is going to be like, oh, that thing's fast. And then you get on it and the whole front end just like, it just squats and just buries it. It does squat a little bit. That's so fun.
And I can feel the steering getting light too when you do that.
What's the weight distribution again?
Terrible. It's 65, 35, 70, 30, something like that.
A lot, a little.
Yes. Yeah, you're gonna want to keep it the revs above like 2.
Okay. That's like a carburetor thing?
No, it's a gearing thing.
Gearing thing.
So the Renault UN1 is designed for high revving V6 motors.
Got it. It's about being gentle to the transmission. The brakes that are on here are Miata brakes,
Yeah,
right?
they're the Dynalites for the NA and B.
Okay. That's cool. Such like a mishmash of stuff to make this thing work. That is just too cool of a sound to come from this. Just America! It feels like you're almost operating like a piece of machinery with like all that inputs that are just like so heavy. Just like dunk the shift in.
I mean, everything, there's no assists, there's hardly anything electronic. It's a raw driving car.
Yeah. Yeah, you do get people just staring at the car.
Yeah.
So compared to like the V6 that it originally came with, I mean, this must have changed the character of this car completely, right?
Absolutely.
Was that like a more like whirly, like sounding like little V6, or?
The sound of it's just insignificant. It's neither bad nor good. It's just
there.
It's exhaust.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, this is just, you just put your foot down and you hear America. Turn signal's still on. Yeah, go for a little more in third. Whoa! Wow! Just like that, we were at 65. Wow. Yeah. A second or two in third gear with the foot down, you really like, you're really moving. So here's what it's like to open up one of these doors.
I was gonna say, need help getting out?
No, I just want to capture that. That is just too cool. Ugh! So we are back from our little typical loop, and you spotted a record-setting number of police officers out there?
Yeah, it was like, so great time to be driving a V8 swapped anything. There must have been like 6 or 7 cops out, and yeah, tons of cops everywhere. So you know, can't really get on it anywhere, but you know.
But aside from that, I mean, you've driven this car once.
Drove
or
it a
twice
year
before.
ago. Yeah.
What'd you think?
It's still just as good. The second, actually better because now it has high school air conditioning.
That's true.
I
That's
don't know
a
how
game
many.
changer.
Yeah. How many swaps do you see with functioning AC? I mean,
All the gauges working.
Yeah,
everything. It
that
looks.
too.
If you look at the car with like we'll call it the hood trunk, shut, it looks factory, and that's the best part.
Yeah, for sure. And like the attitude that the V8 gives off, like just America bellowing out behind you. I mean, it's just such a cool experience to hear that, and such a different car, I'm sure, from the original engine.
I mean, I only tripled the power.
Only.
And all nostalgia aside, it's still an awesome A swap and B car. Like
Yeah.
get rid of all the Back to the Future stuff that everyone relates it to. It's a well done swap and a cool car, and definitely not something you see every day, like your LS Swap 240s and stuff like that.
Yeah, even just like
one
the,
of.
the shape.
I
yeah.
see it every day.
But even like the shape, like that wedge shape,
Yeah,
you know, you don't see that on the road much anymore. Everything's getting so aggressive looking.
And it's so
You know.
comfortable.
Yeah.
It's like driving a Lazy Boy down the street with lots of power.
It really is. So, anyway, if you like this video, you want to see any other reviews, click down below to subscribe. If you like the video, click that like button. Really helps out our channel as we grow and finish up some other reviews here coming soon. So stay tuned. Done.
I had the first year I had it, I laughed so hard. I was driving it around just randomly in the city after visiting a friend of mine. I'm driving it down, I think Prince University or something like that. And guy's riding a bike, looks at it, plows right into a hydrant.